Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on our high school information night. We are excited to tell you about what's happening with Great Hearts Online. Let's take a quick look at our agenda. My name is Heidi Vasiloff, and I'm the Executive Director of Great Hearts Online. And it's my pleasure to give you a nickel tour of who we are. So to begin with, our agenda for tonight is to go through a little bit about our mission and vision, a little bit about our high school model, the schedule. What are you going to be studying, or what will your scholars be studying? What is Humane Letters, which is one of our flagstone courses? And of course, we want you to meet one of the alumni from Great Hearts, so you can maybe talk and ask and think about why a Great Hearts education is of great value to our scholars. We want to also talk about what is our higher education partnership. Who are we partnering with? What does an education look like? And how many credits can your scholar graduate with? Finally, we want to close with family advising, how to connect with us, how to get information, and how to engage throughout the year with Great Hearts Online. Finally, then we'll close. And then at the very end, we'll open it up for a few questions and answers. With no further ado, Great Hearts Online has the same mission and vision as our Great Hearts classes do, or schools do, in brick and mortar. We deeply believe in the call to cultivate the hearts and minds of our scholars as they pursue truth, goodness, and beauty, as they look to live life well lived, and as they like to engage in each other's lives and in the lives of their communities. Those are core to us. Part of the other Great Hearts mission is we are a nonprofit, and we believe in serving as many scholars as want to come to our doors. And short of having a brick and mortar building in every town, what's the next best solution? Well, online education. And in fact, we were moved a little faster into online education during the pandemic, and we have found it to be a very profoundly edifying and great education opportunity for our scholars and for our teachers as they engage in this. So what does that look like? One of the things that we do throughout our courses, whether they're in kindergarten or high school, which our focus tonight is on high school, is that we focus on virtue, not in a naming like it's on our wall, but instead engaging in those great ideas. What are those big ideas? Where do we encounter an example of citizenship in literature? Where can we see courage from our leaders or from history? What's an example of friendship, and how is that modeled, and what does it mean to be a good friend? As we walk through each of these virtues, you're going to find that language is embedded in who we are, and it's actually a foundation in many of the books that we read, and even in the sciences. I'm a science teacher by heart, and what I would say with the sciences is that we really do work on what does it mean to be responsible, not only with your data, but in engaging with each other. How do we have wise choices? How do we persevere when things don't go well? So all of these virtues are going to be embedded, regardless if they're in younger grades and also in the high school experience. What does it look like? This is really the core, right? Like, what are we here for? What does a course of study look like? Great Hearts is a very intentional course of study. It does, regardless of what school you're in, whether you're in brick and mortar or you're in online. And you'll notice right across the top there, it says Humane Letters. Humane Letters is the study of both English and history and social studies combined. It's a 2-hour block. It's worth twice as much as the rest of our classes. So you're going to see that in 9th grade, we have an English and U.S. government and history course. You're going to read great American literature. You're going to engage in the story of our country. All the way through, you're going to see how those texts influenced our leaders and what our leaders were really saying. Our students will read the original text. Of course, that carries through to our 10th grade course, where it's modern European and world geography, as well as some more great literature. A little bit further along, we get into philosophy, and I'm delighted to tell you that Mr. Ryan's going to talk about that in just a second, all of it. And then, of course, we go into Rome and then into the modern world going through. That's a big block of our time, Humane Letters. English, social study, history, all put together. Then we have math, and our mathematics, we started algebra in 8th grade. So if your scholar took a high school algebra course in middle school, that will count as long as they pass their end of course exams. Otherwise, you'll take algebra or geometry. They'll take geometry or algebra 2, depending on how they're going up, algebra 2, and then finally into trig and calc, and potentially end with 2 years of calculus. Biology, we have a complete suite of sciences: biology, chemistry, all the way through physics. And then language. Language is our first choice in our brick and mortar schools. You can choose which path if you want to continue down the classics route, take a couple more years of Latin and some ancient Greek, or you can go with a modern language. We have the same thing at our Great Hearts Online School. There is these other sort of grouped together courses. We have PE, we have a thesis course, we have economics. All of those will be just like in our brick and mortar school, required as part of our intentional study. And then you're going to see a new thing. If you've been part of our schools before, you will notice that we have this thing called electives that many of our other schools do not. Our electives are built in our brick and mortar schools in this beautiful formula of fine arts and drama and music. Here we give students a little bit more choice. And I'm excited to share those with you when we meet Dr. LaMarca as we go further. There's also some other courses, CPR. We have a foundations course, which talks about college admissions that all of our ninth graders will take place in. So you can see that ninth grade year, we're talking about Humane Letters, which is a double class, algebra or geometry, biology, Latin or a modern language, depending on which way they go, PE semester 1, and then an elective semester 2. That's the beginning of our ninth grade journey. Looking at what a schedule looks like. Remember, we have two models. We have a fully asynchronous model, and we have our live model. Our live model is this blend of brick and mortar along with the asynchronous content. So Great Hearts curriculum put together with our asynchronous. So we're sort of bringing the old with the new. And in this model, you'll see this is Texas. And if you were in Texas Section A, you would have geometry first thing in the morning, Mondays and Wednesdays. So think back to your college days. You'll have a Monday, Wednesday. It's an hour and a half or hour and 45 minute block for geometry. And then you get a little break and then an hour and 45 minutes for biology. This allows the students, the scholars to get together, talk about big ideas, ask questions, listen to a live lecture, be part of that twice a week. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you'll notice we have Humane Letters, which is a 2-hour block, just like it is in the brick and mortars, but it's only twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Latin or another language, if you're taking Spanish or as you're looking at that block there. Look at that other part of the schedule though. Monday, Wednesday, you'll notice that there is additional work. And Tuesday, Thursday, the same thing. We have an average on there of how much time it would take the scholar to read and prepare for Humane Letters, how much time they'll spend on preparing for that Latin class or that language class. And then of course a PE or elective. So you'll notice that the full day is made up of that top band and the bottom band, how they go together. Then you're going to see this little thing that goes across. It says Fridays. Fridays are all asynchronous, which allows for greater flexibility in your family schedule, in your scholar schedule. They can work at their own pace on Fridays. But you'll notice that they have every class because we are 5 days a week, a school. All right, let's take a look here. You'll see Arizona now. What do you notice? Hopefully you saw the classes flipped, right? In Arizona, you would start with Humane Letters and have Latin. So those are the patterns, whether you're in Arizona or you're in Texas, you're going to have this block of time that you're learning in the mornings and then independent time in the afternoon. All right, moving right ahead. It is my great delight to let you dive in a little bit more into Humane Letters. Mr. Ryan, will you join us? Hi, Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan is one of our amazing Humane Letters teachers. He's taught for years with us. He's a philosopher, and he is also the Dean of Academics for Texas. Mr. Ryan, will you share with us a little bit about what is Humane Letters?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Chad Ryan. I'm the Dean of Student Success, but also I do teach 8th grade history, but I've taught Humane Letters in the past. So let me just kind of give you a little synopsis. So in many ways, Humane Letters is what lies at the core of what Great Hearts is. And that's for a few different reasons, because one of the main tools of focus that we use here are what are called the Great Books. The Great Books are the canon of the Western tradition. They are kind of like the fuel that fan the flames of character education, which is what Great Hearts is. We try and, as Ms. Vasilov pointed out, very rightly so, that virtues are very important to us, and we try and use those in example and through modeling and scaffolding as much as we can, and especially in the Humane Letters class. Some examples of what are the Great Books, things like the Iliad, Beowulf, Plato's Republic, Jean Rousseau, John Locke, Dostoevsky. The list goes on. And what we will find out, and what your children will find out in the Humane Letters program, is that many of the virtues that were mentioned just a few moments ago by Ms. Vasilov are seen in action within these books that we read. And these classics point to the very great, the reality, I suppose, that regardless of time and space, humans tend to operate under universal senses of desire, curiosity, meaning. In one sense, these characters in these books over thousands of years are mirrors of ourselves. In fact, if you can look at the image right here, if you see this charioteer with this horse, this is a representation of Plato's charioteer, which is in one of his dialogues. And this is a rich metaphor for the soul and its journey. Notice that the charioteer is trying with all his might to temper the tension between his two stallions, one moving upwards, one diving below. This is the tension within each human, Plato might say. So that's something about the great books. There's something else, and it's the seminar itself. The seminar is a very special place. This is a place where many of the skills related to communication and citizenship, to mental organization and analysis, the building of ideas collaboratively, this is where these kind of things happen. And I think our alumni who's going to speak in the future will probably speak to this in some way. But to think more specifically, Humane Letters is not about these books at all, in a sense, nor is it a course about any particular civilization. What Humane Letters is a course in thinking about ideas. Now, that sounds weird. Now, in one sense, ideas are very simple. We can't help but think about ideas. It's just we're wrapped up in our own consciousness, right? But in another sense, thinking well about ideas and how to think about ideas is a very difficult thing to learn. I don't think anybody ever learns it, no matter how, even if you were immortal, I don't think you could ever get to the end. So thinking with clarity, consistency, depth, and subtlety is one of the hardest things for any human to do. And that's something that we very nobly and very humbly try to instill in our students. You'll see these three quotes, and then I'll stop because I'm just rambling at this point. You'll see in these three quotes, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Reading is our exercise in Humane Letters. Simone Weil here, she says that if we concentrate in our class or whatever endeavor we're doing intellectually, even if we don't reach the ends, the goal of whatever that thing is, the process of learning itself is what is the valuable key. And that's the second key of what Humane Letters is. It's not about the end goal, it's about the process. And then lastly, Picasso said that action is the foundational key to all success. And the word I want to take and crystallize in Humane Letters is action, is thinking about these virtues, thinking about these characteristics within these great books and trying to put them into action, what we learn. So anyway, that's a little bit about Humane Letters. Thank you for your time, and I'll...
Mr. Ryan, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Have you had any surprise or something that as you started to teach Humane Letters that you were just delighted in? Some experience that maybe you didn't anticipate?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't even know where to start. So I have probably read Plato's Republic probably about 20 times in my life. And it's one of those books that you tend to find to be a new book each time you read it. But in the 6 times that I've been teaching Humane Letters 3, which is 11th grade Greek philosophy, every time we have a discussion about the Iliad or the Odyssey or Plato's Republic, I am always just floored by the level of questioning and the skills development that the juniors have by that point. And they baffle me sometimes because, I feel like I've got it, I understand Plato pretty well, but then they come out with these questions and I'm just like, why didn't I think of that? How did you do that? So it's never ending surprises. And it's also wonderful to watch students become more confident in their ability to analyze, in their ability to understand situations, and also to read subtly, to understand when something is funny or when something is ironic in a book, because that's not an easy thing to do. And to become a closer reader, that's a wonderful thing to see.
I love that. And I think one of my favorite tours when I was as a headmaster was to take somebody from our 6th grade class and walk up till they got to the 11th and 12th grade. And you could see their maturation. You could see how much they had learned to engage and to listen respectfully and be part of that process. So
yeah, it's great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
It is my very great delight to introduce you to our next speaker tonight, one of our Great Hearts alums, and you'll notice she may not look a little familiar, but her last name should. This is my daughter, Corinne Vasilev, and she graduated from one of our Great Heart schools in the class of 2020. She's now, oh my goodness, she's a senior in college at Whitworth University, and she is a pre-med major there, along with her brother, who's also attending. So welcome, Corinne. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi.
It was very fortunate that I had somebody in my pocket to come and talk. But one of the questions we get from our parents, especially as you're deciding about 9th grade, is what's the experience like? What are the things that you loved about high school? We know it's a rigorous course of study, but is there some course or class that really you look back on and think, those were some of my favorites?
I think one of my favorite classes was Greek. I did Latin and Greek through high school, and my Greek class just ended up getting really close through our 4 years there. And our teacher, we had the same teacher for a lot of that. So we had a really good relationship. And I think it was just such a unique opportunity to have those relationships and have that connection with my classmates while also, learning ancient Greek. My senior year, we translated a Platonic dialogue, which was a really unique opportunity. And it was discussion based. We were just kind of working through it together. And I just think that was a really great experience to kind of do that as a group and work through something like that. My other favorite class was Humane Letters. It was a big part of my education, and I just think it taught me so many things about myself, kind of really taught me how to think through things for myself, and I have a lot of skills that came out of that are practical, in addition to kind of the philosophical ideas that I came away with.
Corinne, I love this picture of you. This was taken your senior year during COVID, and you came forward and said, "Mom, I want to get a picture with my books." Tell me about what this picture means to you and why was it significant?
So I took that picture right after I finished my senior thesis defense. Mine was online, which was kind of weird, but it was still a really great experience. And I had all of these books from middle school through high school that I had read while at Great Hearts. And I said, those look impressive when you kind of look at them all together. So I just wanted to commemorate that. And I think it's fun to look back and see all of the things that we discussed and all the things we kind of accomplished through our time there.
Yeah, I love that. And really, truly, you read and discussed and wrote on all of these texts, which is just remarkable. Corinne, one of the questions that we get all the time is, well, how does this help me in college? Like, why would I work so hard? Why would I engage in this level of rigor? Well, do you see a value that's sort of this pragmatic side of the coin, right? Other than just some for the edification of learning, but what have you experienced?
I think, there's kind of the stereotypical, you learned how to take rigorous classes and how to manage your time well. And those are all definitely true in my experience, but also, especially like I said with HL, you really learn how to think for yourself and how to, read these primary texts, which is also kind of a really unique opportunity to read the actual things from that time period and think through them for yourself instead of reading a summary or a commentary on it. And then really a big part of that is the discussion. Humane Letters is a 2-hour discussion most days where you're, using the text and having to think on the fly. And that's such a useful skill in, history classes and English classes, but also in my biology classes, being able to come up with those questions and respond to other people's comments thoughtfully is something that's really helpful. And I think a lot of my classmates in college don't necessarily have the same experience or preparation for that. So I've been super thankful for that. Public speaking kind of comes from that, but also just that critical thinking on the fly, not necessarily having time to prepare this whole, response, but still being able to have a good discussion about difficult topics.
I love that. And then also there was this practical side you talked about note taking and sort of annotation. What did you experience there?
Yeah, so I've just found I really had to learn how to take good notes through my time at Great Hearts. And that's something that's been really helpful for me in college. Again, a lot of my classmates didn't have that same kind of experience of not just writing down what's on the screen, but really thinking through the ideas. Again, critical reading has been something that's really helpful. Because we're working through these difficult texts, you learn to read slowly and to work through the ideas and annotate. All of my books are really marked up with different thoughts. And then through the discussion as well, you add to that and you have this kind of like memory of all the things that you discussed through that time, which I think is really cool. So that's definitely useful. Again, time management, learning to just sit down and work through homework is really helpful. And I think that that's sometimes overlooked, the importance of those kinds of skills too.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you also, you were also involved in athletics and all kinds of other things on the side. So that time management piece was really, really important. I'm curious then, my last question is, online, you were in a brick and mortar school. So you were going to class 5 days a week, doing all that work. What would you have liked to have? Is there anything different that you would have appreciated from Great Hearts or from this education? Is there something that you felt like, oh, if only they could have done this?
I think the online piece of it is definitely would have been really useful. The brick and mortar schools are, not a lot of technology, and I think that's really good for the classroom. But a lot of college is, everything's turned in online. All of the communication is done online. So I think learning those skills is really important, as well as just learning how to be in front of a camera. It might sound a little bit silly, but a lot of interviews and things like that are through Zoom or through other kind of virtual methods. And I still feel a little bit uncomfortable doing those things just because it's not something that I'm used to. So I think having that experience would definitely be really helpful. Another thing that I wished we had was college credits coming from high school into college. Especially I go to school in Washington, and it seems like everyone has college credits, and it just opens up their schedule. They don't have to take some of those intro level classes that aren't maybe as interesting to them or don't apply to their major as much. For me specifically, it's been writing. I think I learned how to write really well at Great Hearts, especially through Humane Letters. Most of your assignments are essays. And then I wrote a 17-page senior thesis that was, this big work in writing. So I feel really confident with those skills. But because I don't have the credits from my Great Hearts education, I'm having to take writing 1 as a senior next semester. And I just, that's a space that could have been used to take another class that's something new to learn, something I find interesting. So that's a little bit frustrating for me to have to go back and take that one.
Well, Corinne, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so grateful for you sharing your insights into this and helping parents make their choices, right? And what kind of education they want. So thank you very much. It is now my great pleasure to introduce you to another one of our team members, because I know, as Corinne mentioned, one of the things that our online school is very excited to offer this year, and we've worked really hard on, are college credits. So Dr. LaMarca, will you join us, please? Hi, Dr. LaMarca. We're so pleased you're here. And will you take us, Dr. LaMarca is our Senior Vice President of Business Operations. Will you take us through what does it mean to be a Great Hearts Scholar, and what is available, and how do I think about the college credit process?
Absolutely. And I first just want to thank Corinne. I think one of the reasons why we're trying to offer these college classes is because of her experience, and hers is not unique. We've had hundreds of families as we've interviewed them and asked them and looked at what they're wanting for once they graduate from high school. And we keep getting the feedback that we wish we could have taken college classes while we were in high school. And so we're very excited to announce that that is going to be the case this year. And as you can see here, we've broken this up into a fall and spring semester. And in the fall, for the most part, students will take high school credits. You can see that we'll take high school Humane Letters, biology. You get to choose a language, whether Latin or Spanish, PE, and then Euclidean geometry or algebra, depending on whether you've taken algebra previously. You can see there that PE will be a college class for our incoming freshmen. So in the fall, all high school, all for incoming freshmen will receive college credit for the PE class. As we move into the spring, we are seeing a lot of college opportunity. And what will happen is the Humane Letters, actually, and I'm most excited about this one. Humane Letters will be a course that students will get college credit for throughout their entire high school experience, and they'll get it from us So as we teach the Humane letters in 9th grade, they will get a history credit. In 10th grade, another history credit. And then as we move into 11th and 12th, they'll receive English credit and communications and philosophy. And so this gives us an opportunity for students to really get the bulk of all of their writing. And that's exactly what Corinne just commented. She's like, I'm a senior and now I have to take in early English class. And we're saying that's not true anymore, because since you're taking this Humane Letters class, you will get your Englishes and your histories by the time you graduate from high school. And that will put you on the path to have those already completed. Now, the other exciting part about this is that we want students to be able to earn up to an associate's degree. And in order to do that, students need to take science, humanities, social sciences. They need to take all of these other courses and 60 college credits. And so in the spring, what we're doing is if you did well in the fall in your biology class and you're ready to take that biology class as a college credit, then you can. And we'll get you registered to take it as a college class, and you'll get a high school credit and a college credit at the same time. Same thing with language. If you're taking Latin or Spanish, thank you, Mrs. Vasiloff. So you can see here, here's our partners. So with Western Texas, we're offering art appreciation, Spanish, the PE class, music appreciation, personal finance. Arizona State will be offering a Foundations of Earned Admissions, Introduction to Solar Systems, The Living World, and this is that biology class that I was just talking about. Computer applications, health and wellness, again, another PE, so students can choose between Western Texas or ASU for their PE class. And then Poetry in America. And then lastly, Latin through Austin Community College. And so as you're building out your schedule, in the fall, you'll take mostly high school credits. In the spring, you can take high school credits or college credits. And depending on what you choose, you may end up taking a history through the Humane Letters, a biology, potentially a Latin or a Spanish, and then you'll have some electives where you can choose to take some humanities or some social sciences or some fine arts, which will prepare you to earn your associate's degree as we go. So we're excited to announce this. We're excited for our partners, and we are very much looking forward to the opportunity for our 9th grade students to be able to take these classes and get ready to earn their associate's degree by the time they graduate from high school. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce Mrs. Zapata. Mrs. Zapata is our Director of Family Advising, and this is a brand new division within our online department. So I'll have Mrs. Zapata explain what her role is, who will be helping, and how they'll be able to support you as you continue.
Hi, thank you so much. Hopefully, I have some familiar faces in the audience who have seen me before. I was previously the Director of Operations, and I am now over the Department of Family Advising, which I'm super excited about because I have an incoming or rising 9th grader as well. So this program is very near and dear to my heart, as is serving our families. I love our families, and I want to make sure that our families, our parents, our scholars, everybody that's involved in the success of each of their children's lives is receiving the support that they need to help them be successful. So our family advising department is just that. We are advisors, and we are here to serve all of our scholars and all of our families. We are going to provide personalized support to each and every one of them. And our role is really to support, assist our families with all of their needs. Anything that you can think of that you might need, that your scholar needs, to really ensure that their academic journey is exceptional. Starting in the coming weeks, we will be assigning an individual family advisor to each and every one of our families, and they will start reaching out to introduce themselves and start making those connections with each of our returning families as well as our newly enrolled families. Starting this week, we will also be reaching out to contact each of our rising 9th grade families to really help answer any questions they might have, gather information so that we can be sure that we are sharing with you the information you need to take the next steps, as well as to capture and assist you with making the course selections that have been discussed here. So if you have any questions or need any support, please reach out to our family advising department. We are here to service you and help you in any way you need.
Thank you so much, Ms. Zapata. And I know you are very much involved in this. You've been involved since the beginning, and your beautiful boys attend here. Thank you so much for helping our families as they navigate this process. And truly, any questions you have out there, this team is ready to answer. And I appreciate you leading that team. Families, we are so grateful that you've joined us. We want to announce the two heads of schools, and this is for the Arizona and Texas charter. Headmaster Tordick will be the head of school for our Arizona Online, and Headmaster Daigle will be our head of school at the Texas Online. And you'll get a chance to meet and engage with them as you go forward in the process. Finally, we are so grateful for you joining us. We had to put this slide in here. I think this is fantastic. 44% of our scholars go on to pursue STEM fields. And that's something really significant when you think about a Great Hearts education that really dives into the classics. And that foundation of reasoning and thinking has profoundly shaped them. And then, of course, virtue. We stand on virtue. We really hold true to that. We encourage you to apply today. We are tuition free to students in the state of Arizona and Texas. If you want any more information, please reach out to greatheartsonline.org. And with that, thank you. But before we close, are there any questions that we can answer here in the next few minutes? Any questions? I saw one of the questions that came in was a question about Texas has a very particular graduation code, as does Arizona. Of course, our courses meet both Arizona and Texas graduation requirements. But more importantly, we do offer endorsements in Texas. So they will have the Texas Foundation High School program. They can get distinguished achievement if they stay the course of study with 26 credits, including the math credits that they need, the science credits. They can also receive, so they can get the multidisciplinary endorsement, which has the 4 foundations of English and math. And so distinguished level of achievement. And so take a look, and if you have questions, we can show you those documentation, but it's very exciting that those are available as well. Right, additional math options. So right now, our math program goes algebra, Euclidean geometry, pre-calculus and with trig, and then Calc 1 and Calc 2. The last year, though, you can choose another advanced option, which will be college courses. So we certainly will have other math available if Calc 2 isn't really in your wheelhouse, or if you really want to dive into like business math or some of the other maths that are out there. So it's very exciting. Are these colleges credits starting at GHO? Krista, I see your question about Great Hearts brick and mortars. We're kind of testing this out. We're super excited about this. We do anticipate Great Hearts really looking into this as we move forward. But for right now, we can only speak to online for this next year coming up. And opportunities for our scholars to get involved. I wish we had a little bit more time. Yes, of course, our headmasters will be working with community engagement. They will be engaging in class in live time. And you know how good high schoolers are about connecting as well. But we will also have opportunities to go on field trips, to come out and enjoy community events. And so, yes, there will be opportunities for that. And as in all Great Hearts schools, there is a senior trip, and that senior trip is to DC, but we'll also have other field trips as they go on, unique to each state. Let's see. Oh, this is you guys, these are fantastic questions. Let's see. Is there a summer reading list for freshmen? We would love to share our 8th grade reading list. If you want to read some of those books, if you weren't part of our school, we can certainly share our reading list going to that. But it's robust. So, and one of the things that I did with my children is they started as soon as we opened our Great Hearts School, I read a book ahead so we could have discussions around the table. So parents might want to pick up a book as well. Summer reading, right? College level, are the college level courses taken with Great Hearts Teacher? Are they taken online through colleges? Both. So Humane Letters is our teachers, our curriculum, And we are working with a college that is giving that credit for the students that pass those courses. So we have both. They could be taken with ours. And then there's also classes that will be offered through those colleges with their teachers specifically. So yes and yes. How's that for a question there? There is no fee to participate in the colleges, except if you choose an elective that requires an additional textbook. So we'll cover the cost of the tuition for the schools, but if there is supplies, or if there are supplies or an extra text, the families would be responsible for that. And then does the family advisors help with 504 and IEPs? The family advisors can connect you to the right people with both 504s and IEP students. So yes, reach out to them. You can also reach out to our schools, to our 504 coordinators, or to our SPED programs as you're going from there. Last chance. Any other questions? Let's see. I'm looking at the feed over here. I'm not seeing any others. If you have any, please reach out to us, write us, email, reach out to the family advisors. They're really going to be your hub for information. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We look forward to talking to you in the future. Have a good evening.